You're back!
I'm Mandy.
I'm Dan.
Subscribe to
BuzzChomp.
Woo! Woo!
Westworld Season 2 reaction. We knew it was coming. It was only a matter of time. Dr. Ford wasn't gone. His control was ever present. And now we've been revealed. There he is. His control. There it is. 6 episodes into Season 2, I'm diving down the rabbit hole of Dr. Ford's control. There are a lot of other elements to poke at, and I'm going to get to them later. Delores, Maeve, Bernard AKA Arnold AKA Bernard, and perhaps the Man in Black as a host. But overarching all of that is Dr. Ford's control. Because Arnold died 30 years ago, around the time William took over. I'm not sure that's a coincidence, but we don't know yet. Dr. Ford has been fighting back ever since to keep the integrity of the park him and his partner, his best friend, created. That's not a coincidence either. William's a bad guy. We know it. His daughter called him out on it. The nice guy was a facade. Dolores saw through it and realized as well. She's been dealing with it ever since. It's throughout all of her memories. The point is, Ford has been the only man that could fight back against Delos, against William, against what his park was becoming. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this was a 30-year plan that Ford had. But at some point, there was a turning point in the history of Westworld, a la the 10 parks. I'm going to call Westworld the 10 parks. It expanded from one to multiple. He knew that they were turning humans into hosts and trying to embody the essence. Heck, he did it himself and created Bernard from Arnold. He may have been the first to do it. I'm not positive, but he was the one that did it the best because no one could tell. Seems asinine to me if William bought the park or inherited the park and Arnold and Ford created the park, wouldn't he know at the very least that Bernard was the essence of Arnold? That question is part of Dr. Ford's control, but also bugs the hell out of me. I know it's a television show, but these people are smart. They had to have known. How could everyone working there in Season 1 not know? Except for the fact that us as audience members couldn't know. Anyways, let's move along. We're moving along. We're letting that go. Dr. Ford is in the Cradle, which is the hive, which is what I talked about last week on my video. All the hosts are connected. It goes one step further. It's like a reverse matrix where all of the hosts' minds and their memories are stored in a hive, the Cradle, and then versions of themselves are created and put out into the world. Reverse matrix, whereas the humans were put into the matrix. This is the matrix putting out into the world. Very interesting. Bernard, aka Arnold, created Ford in a little ball host and dropped him into the Cradle. Now, I believe he wasn't there before, even though young Ford was. Young Ford was. I think that Bernard is also, aka Arnold, is not part of the massive Cradle hive. Ford kept him separate. Now, we don't know for sure. The Cradle's being utilized as a story element. We're going to see one or two other people within the Cradle that are actually hosts that we believe to be human. We may see Bernard in there, aka Arnold, who was there all along. Not sure, but Ford's there. He has a greyhound dog. Kind of weird. What's the deal? It's likely Dr. Ford's control is so large that he kept Bernard, aka Arnold, separate from the Cradle so that he wouldn't be affected by his own programming that was going to drive all the hosts kind of bonkers. Also, it makes sense if all of the humans turned hosts are outside of the Cradle's control. If you want to be a host human, you can't be controlled by the host hive, otherwise you're no longer humanish. But they never perfected it, and perhaps it's because they aren't part of the hive. Maybe if you make the host humans part of the host hive, then they can actually be human-esque, a la Delores, a la other people we aren't sure of yet. But it's unclear, because everybody that's connected to the hive, the Cradle, is under Ford's control and playing out a story. And I think that definitely includes Delores. Back to her and the beginning of the episode where we found out that those meetings with Bernard, aka Arnold, were not in fact him meeting with her, but were in fact her meeting with him. I'm going to draw the line here and say last season, in season 1, we watched Delores meeting with Arnold. But from the beginning of season 2, we thought we were watching Delores meet with Arnold, when in fact we were watching Bernard meet with Delores in the future. That's going to be one of the major things that's going to be like a quote-unquote bombshell, if you will. Those things, those meetings are in the future, which means Delores wins to the point in which she has superseded being a host and maybe is sitting on the board of the Delos Corporation helping run Westworld, and then going to meet with Bernard to try to create the fidelity of turning a human into a host, which they have yet to master. But because she was a host that gained full humanity, so did Maeve, I'm not sure where her story's headed, she can be a great consult to Bernard to try to create his fidelity and turn him into Arnold. That's where I think this is headed. But currently, in the present, which is another discussion because everything's the present and all the hosts' memories are present. The present, meaning what took place right after the end of season 1. Delores is under Ford's control. She is Wyatt. She's playing out that story because he's masterminding it from the cradle. But I also think he's flipping the switch on and off, because there are moments when she's like full on Wyatt and guiding light towards one singular purpose, and there are moments where it flips and she seems like a softer, kinder, more understanding person in which she has bigger goals and bigger ulterior motives than just must kill, must revenge, save dad. So I think he's flipping the switch. He's playing the piano. He's playing his entire control, this whole narrative, out like a nice Beethoven symphony. Now, like I said, he may be flipping the switch and playing his piano towards their goals, moving on and focusing on someone else, and then they just flip the switch and make a choice. Well, we may or may not find out. The basic fact is he's in full control. He's within the cradle. And he knows Delos can't destroy the cradle. If they destroy the cradle, they destroy everything that was built. All of it. They must maintain the cradle. So they have to remove him from the cradle. But they don't even know he's there. The only one that knows he's there right now is Bernard, who is on the side of the host because he is a host. Let's step back because there is several layers of time here. There's the future when Bernard's meeting with Delores. The present, which is 2 weeks after the end of season 1, I don't know where Charlotte is, don't know where Elsie is. Bernard's the only guiding light, correct? Yet, everything that we were seeing in that 2-week window, which we're halfway through 7 weeks, at least from his point of view, is a memory. He made it very clear that he's just remembering what he did the 2 weeks in the middle. But then we're seeing everyone else is actually living it out. It's a little confusing and esoteric, but it actually, I mean, if you actually wrote it down, it's not that confusing. Bernard's in the present, the 2 weeks after the end of season 1, remembering what he did over that span. And then we're watching other people's times in that span. And then there's the future with him and Delores. It's all about Bernard. This whole season's Bernard. Season 1 was Delores. Season 2's Bernard, AKA Arnold. Season 3 will probably be Teddy or the Man in Black or Ford. But there's going to be one singular host focus. And you're like, I threw the Man in Black in there as a singular host focus because you know he created it himself. He's too egotistical not to. I also love how he thought his daughter was one, but I really don't believe it. All of this is Ford's control because Ford has screwed with his head so deeply that he doesn't even know if his own daughter is a real person or not. I love it. I'm Dan Salem. Subscribe to the BuzzChomp YouTube channel. I got Westworld videos every week. The show's just getting crazier and crazier, yet it is really not that difficult. The timelines are just freaking bonkers. Comment below. What do you think's happening? What did I miss? Do you like Bernard? Are you rooting for him? I'm certainly rooting for Bernard right now, and I love Ford as the good guy, bad guy, enemy. Woo! Westworld Season 2 reaction.
Thanks for watching BuzzChomp.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Share.
Woo!